So, welcome to a special edition of F.Y.I. Live. I am here with a very special guest. I consider a great friend, someone who's done a lot of great work for our community, our county supervisor for San Bernardino County, Curt Hagman. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Carlos. This is nice.
No, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know it's campaign season, and I know you, aside from your regular job as supervisor, you're out there campaigning and talking to folks and all that good stuff as well. So glad to have you on board, man. And welcome, folks. If you're just joining us, I want to make sure that you guys also are following Curt. Make sure that you visit his website at curthagman.com. It'll be scrolling on here throughout the show, but I want to get right down to it because I know your time is limited. So, Curt, one of the questions I'm sure you hear a lot about is what got you started, man, in all of this politics?
Well, it's probably similar to a lot of people like to volunteer. I was a volunteeraholic ever since I was a kid, Boy Scouts, going to the military. And then when I started my own business when I was younger, I had a lot of free time as it grew, as successful. So I started my local community of Chino Hills and started volunteering for everything from Kiwanis Club the PTA, and I think at one point I was in 7 different volunteer groups. And with all those touches with the volunteer groups in your community, eventually you start running into the elected officials there. And I got recruited to be a Park and Recs commissioner, and then eventually recruited to run for city council. The rest is kind of, I guess, history.
That's awesome. And I know in the time that you've been also our county supervisor, there's a lot of great things that you've been able to accomplish and really help out. But the one that's really standing out a lot right now, because we just have gone through it and we're still somewhat doing fighting it, is COVID, man. Please share with us everything that you did as a supervisor for our county to help us get ahead. I know that a lot of the kits were coming out of your office to help people, take some of the home tests and all of that. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess it's probably better to put it in context. We on the county level can only do so much, but we work very closely with our public health, the 5 board members, and the other electeds. I mean, one of the things that we had for me serving as chairman is I had weekly calls with my mayors of the 24 cities in San Bernardino to keep us in loop, which is very nice to be able to do all the time, was to have that dialogue, that communication. But we try to think ahead. First of all, we wanted to come out and educate our residents, but not penalize them. When some of the other counties started writing fines and tickets and wanted our sheriff's department to go off and start, enforcing the mask mandate, we didn't think that was a good thing. So what we did is went and we just informed our residents and helped them out the best we can. The second program we did was the first of its kind of a COVID compliant business. For those small businesses that got a couple rounds of $2,500 checks, we want to keep our small businesses open, especially when we're telling them to close your doors for a while. So we gave them our CARES dollars and we helped distribute that. And then as we kept up the technology, we were buying 3 or 4 steps ahead. So like you talked about the portable test kits, we got them back in November, had them distributed in December, and then the federal government comes in and, hey, we'll get ours out to you in March. So it's all about timing. We took some risks, but those risks paid off for the county. And I'm proud that we never exceeded our neighboring counties in the infection rate and all the rest of it, even with our different policies compared to like Los Angeles.
And I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I think folks need to know also just how much went behind the scenes that your office did as well, the partnerships that you created too. I want to take some time also, man, before we dive into anything deep or anything like that. Let's talk a little bit about what you've been able to accomplish since you've been in office. And I mean, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit about this because I want to make sure I don't leave, important things out as well too.
Well, yeah, I'll talk a little more about my district because anything we do, just like you on city council, it's a team effort. And I got a fantastic team. I guess to put it in a little bit in perspective, we're part of associations. It's like cities, part of League of Cities or charters, cities. We're part of NACO, National Association of Counties. That's the North American counties in the United States. And the one thing that stands out right now, for the last 7 years, we have won the most innovation awards than any other county in the nation. 7 years running, setting a new record each year. So that gives you the idea of what we're doing here in San Bernardino County. Is we're very forward thinking. We are embracing technology is one of the things I love working with you on. And we're bringing that into the county, and we're winning a ton of awards left and right. In fact, this week, I was able to present to our fleet department the #1 North in North America for the fleet of any government agency. So we're hitting expectations really high. But as far as the district goes, I'm very proactive. We're doing a lot of things, like we just opened up Top Golf a couple months ago in Ontario. That was us going after Top Golf, not waiting for someone to come to us. We did the same thing when I first got elected. I went after Ontario Airport, contacted the mayor's office, Mayor Garcetti in LA, and I literally showed up the same day at his office, waited till he had time to start talking about it. And it took us about a year to put that deal together, but we still got the airport back. We also, I drove out to West LA and went to the Olympic Committee for 2020 Olympics, and we're in contention for 2 Olympic sites here for the 2020 Olympics at Prado Park. So it's about being proactive in government, not just waiting to see who comes to your counter or who approaches you. It's trying to set a vision and going after it. You and I have been working a lot on bringing high-speed internet to our residents, because your same thought I have. You can't do life going forward without access to high-speed internet. When that's education, business, telemedicine, you name it, we need access. And we have the largest county in the United States, so we need that space. In the high desert, we need to have different technologies. So we partner up with Starlink, and we're beta testing 6 of their satellite receivers out in the high desert and our public parks. But we look forward to doing a lot more with infrastructure and with our public spaces and building that up going forward. But it's really just a lot of those attention to details to bring the policies that results in us being a business-friendly county, that results in us working together as a team, whether it's private sector or public sector working together. That's what we try to do going forward.
Yeah, and another thing that I know that it's very dear to your heart, and you're also very proactive in a lot of things, is you've been protecting jobs since you got into the role. You've been very proactive about strengthening the economy, right? Talk about also how you've been doing with the protecting our neighborhoods from crime and all of that, because I've heard you talk about it, but I want folks to get to listen to that as well.
No, we take public safety. I mean, there's some whole social issues that we have to work with, but public safety is very important with us. Unfortunately, the way the voters voted to legalize marijuana, we became one of those victims of our county, along with LA. And overnight, literally over 2 years, we had 1,100 illegal marijuana farms up in the high desert. So what we've been doing is doubling down on public safety. We have a great sheriff. We have a great district attorney that will prosecute to the extent of the law, which is very harsh right now on those type of activities. But we funded an extra $10 million to our sheriff's department and code enforcement to go after growing fields of crime. The state has decriminalized a lot of acts in this state. Felonies are now misdemeanors. Misdemeanors are now infractions. So it's harder and harder to enforce, with some kind of deterrence, I guess I would say, some of the laws on the books of the state of California. But we still go after everybody we can. And so I think you have to, if you want to have successful business, you want to have successful schools, neighborhoods, one of the main things is really to focus on crime and try to keep people and let them feel like they're safe here. So we do that quite often.
Also,
with our city partners.
No, that's fantastic. I also kind of go hand in hand with that too. You've been in the forefront of creating solutions for homelessness. More importantly, you've really taken on making sure that our veterans are provided with services. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, thank you. We, obviously homelessness is a big topic for everyone's mind, and we have prioritized housing every veteran in this county, and we've got the award, I think twice now in the last 6 years for accomplishing that. We actually had the Department of Housing come out and give us an award for being able to house every veteran we have. But there's a lot more need, even if you're not a veteran. So what we're trying to work on is different types of solutions. The first one is trying to putting a roof over someone's head. And the traditional way for us to build affordable housing isn't that affordable. So we're looking at motel and hotel conversions. We're looking at temporary shelters in abandoned commercial buildings that we can convert into a homeless shelter area that people come into, as well as new tiny homes technology that we're starting to see pop up in different communities. We're looking for locations. But the reality is that's just a housing part of it. The next part of it is assessing what the needs of that individual are. Is it mental needs? It's a addiction to drugs or alcohol? Is it physical care? And we have the resources to help partner up with those locations. But it's challenging when those folks who need those resources are scattered through a county the size of many states. So to have these centers where we could bring our homeless to those centers and have a little more concentrated throughout our region allows our professionals to go work with them one-on-one. The next phase after stabilization is to bring in private sector employers that are willing to work with them to develop job skills and get that work ethic going back. So it's a longer period of helping out those individuals than what counties are generally used to, but the outcomes hopefully are much better off versus just getting them stabilized and releasing them back into the elements that got them in that place. Is that we plan to do this combined package to hopefully have a better outcomes on our homelessness.
That's fantastic, man. I know a lot of folks are really very happy to hear you say that. And again, folks, if you're just joining us, we are talking with our San Bernardino County Supervisor, Curt Hagman, 4th District. And speaking of districts, Curt, talk a little bit about your campaign, right? What districts do you cover? Some folks may not be aware. Also talk about how it's going on the campaign, and as viewers that live in your districts, what can we do to help the cause?
Well, thank you. So I'm very fortunate. I love the area I represent. I represent Chino Hills, Chino, Ontario, Montclair, and the lower part of Upland, a little bit above Foothill. It's a little jagged line up there. But I have a great area. So my main focus is to partner up with my cities the best we can to support them to be successful, helps the county be successful. We do have some unincorporated areas as well. There is an election out there right now. It's going to be June 7th. Most folks are already got their ballots or will the next couple of days get them in. And it's a little bit different kind of election cycle because normally you have your absentee voters and your poll voters. But with the pandemic, California went to mailing everybody absentee vote equivalent. So you could take that ballot in at any time and mail it in or drop it off one of the many places the county has to collect the ballots of the poll locations and get your vote in. But it's a critical part. Generally in primaries, about 30% of registered voters actually turn out to vote. And this is something that we're very passionate about, not because of me or you, for anybody else, but we're one of the few countries that have that right to pick their government. And we shouldn't take it for granted. This is something that it doesn't take a lot of time to get informed, but in very little time to actually fill out the little bubbles on the ballot. But it makes a difference in the outcome in our way of life for all our residents going forward. So we believe the campaign's going very well right now. We have the opportunity, if we're successful in June, to be done with it in June. If one person doesn't get 50% plus one vote by June 7th, it goes to the general election in November. So you do the top two go to that November election. But let's keep working. For those who want to reach out, you go Google me, and we have a campaign website. We'd love to get your help, and if you want signs or anything like that as well. But now's the time to vote.
Yeah, and folks, the website is you can see below on the screen. It's curthagman.com. Please make sure that you visit. You'll get additional information on there. I know this is more of a meet and greet. I know that I would love for you to come on, check in with the campaign, and ask folks want to ask some questions and stuff so we can get a little bit deeper in that. But I will say on a personal note, man, I've known you for quite a while, and I know that you are one of those guys that talks the talk and walks the walk. And that's the level of respect I have for you, because as you know, as we all know, politicians can say this, can say that, or whatever, but you actually follow through with things that you say on there. So I have a lot of respect for you on that. And I'm sure that a lot of folks listening, the same thing. We want to make sure that we support you. We get you back in there, because the next phase is folks want to hear about your vision in the upcoming years when you're in office as well too.
We're in a good position right now. I'm excited that maybe the next time we can talk about that. And same to you, Carlos. It's been a pleasure to work with you. And one last thing before we turn this off. People don't know that with one hat, you with a council member or me with a supervisor hat on, yeah, we have our meetings for respective jurisdictions. But with that one office, you also sit on multiple other boards and commissions that meet in other days. So we have an opportunity to work together. So you and I work on SBCTA emerging technologies, for example. We're able to work with our colleagues on different levels, but multiple different committees that has a big effect in your life. So you may think, who cares who the supervisor is? Well, that supervisor also sits on Ontario International Airport Authority Board, also sits on the San Bernardino County Transportation Commission, also sits on the Omnitrans Republic and Inland Empire Health Plan, and so on and so on. About 28 boards and commissions all and done. So those folks have maybe one interest or the other, but these offices hit multiple, just like it does on your level as well as a city council member.
Yeah, and again, folks, this is the real deal, guys. Get out there. If you don't know about Curt or you haven't read up on him, the website is we put it on there. I'm actually going to put it back up again one more time. Make sure you write it down. If you have any questions, send us some information. I'll make sure that I forward it over to Curt as well too. Curt, always a pleasure, man. Keep up the good fight. I know that we need you to get reelected on there to continue moving our county forward for sure.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. It's a pleasure to work with you.
All right, folks. So for more information, please send us a message. Follow Curt if you're not following him on social media as well too. There's a lot of great things and content that he's putting out there as well as opportunities for businesses and things that come up also on there. I'm not going to wish you luck because I know you're going to kick butt, man. So until the next time, take care, man, and be safe out there.
Thank you so much.